Alrighty, and we are live. How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Thank you guys all so much for chiming into the breaking news report that yes, Justin Verlander, the Mets ace to start the season, is already on the shelf with an injury. He's placed on the injured list, but we're going to be breaking down our raw reactions to this injury as we're just over an hour away from opening day officially beginning for the Mets, and I have an absolutely pounding headache. I've been working tirelessly the past couple of nights getting everything set up for the season with our post-game show, which will be going live right after the conclusion of today's game, Mad Max versus Sandy Alcantara. But no better way to start the season than your $40 million man that you just signed placed on the shelf. So, guys, I'm going to just say it flat out right now. No, I'm not happy about this at all. Yes, it's an absolute bummer. I'm going to the Mets home opener this year, so now it's not going to be Justin Verlander pitching. It's going to be my guy who I'm a big fan of, but again, wasn't expecting him, and Tyler McGill. McGill is now going to be slotted as the Mets' number 3 starter to start the year. He is lined up to pitch the Mets home opener. Justin Verlander has a low-grade teres major strain. Basically what that is, it's a strain in the shoulder armpit area, and he got imaging done there specifically because he was dealing with some uncomfortability in spring, but he really didn't think too much of it because, as we know, all pitchers go through their wear and tear. Like, to start spring, they're not feeling 100%. Trevor May was a great example of that. He stayed every spring. He feels like god-awful and really needs to work himself, ramp himself up quite a bit. And JV got imaging done, and he was concerned that it could have been an oblique injury, which would have been a Mad Max situation. You're missing the guy for multiple months. But no, he looks like, thankfully, this isn't going to be nearly as serious of an injury as what it could have been. This is the best scenario aside from him being fully healthy. JV said it himself today with the media. Obviously, he's really bummed out and he feels like disgusted. This is not how he wanted to start his Mets tenure. And as Mets fans, this isn't what we want to see either. But if there is any positives to take away from this, thankfully, this is a minor injury. He's going to continue throwing at a moderate level, and then in a week or so, he's going to get rescanned, further imaging done again. Then a week or so, we'll find out an update. So our assumption from everything that we're seeing right now is that Justin Verlander will probably miss, I'd imagine, between 2 and 3 starts. Could be a little bit more, could be a little less. Not too sure, but thankfully, this isn't a major injury for JV. But again, this was the risk that the Mets took when they signed Justin Verlander to that big multi-year deal. I mean, look, Jacob deGrom goes to the Texas Rangers, and how ironic is it that, of course, Jacob deGrom is starting today against the Phillies, and yet JV is on the shelf to start the year. I mean, you can't make this stuff up if you're a Mets fan. It's inevitable. I don't like it. It's so hard to put into words because we deal with this all the time, but it's comical at this point how Jake, who's been the injury-prone guy, is now starting the year for the Rangers while JV's on the shelf. Thankfully, though, again, it's not a serious injury with Justin Verlander, and I'm happy knowing that he's at least going to continue throwing, and this isn't a situation where he's completely shut down or anything of that nature. So, yeah, raw reactions to this right now is it definitely sucks. Don't get me wrong, but thankfully for JV, this is a situation where this is a unique injury for him that should not have him on the shelf long. And if it does, then we'll talk about it in further videos when the time is right. But as of now, he should be back sooner rather than later. So I know a lot of Mets fans are freaking out about this. They already think the sky is falling. They think that the season's ending. Trust me, I don't blame you all for feeling that way. I mean, that's just the nature of the game being a Mets fan. As soon as you find out that your big signing, at the age of 40 is already on the shelf, it's not encouraging. And this is, again, the risk that the Mets took by signing someone like him. There's always risk. That was always our biggest concern heading into this season with him and Mad Max leading the charge in this rotation. Are they both phenomenal athletes? Are they both two of the best starters in baseball right now? Yes, they absolutely are. But we saw what Max dealt with his oblique injury last year and then down the stretch. We're seeing it with JV here with this interesting injury around his armpit area. It's so weird, the placement of this too. Again, he thought that he was going to potentially have an oblique injury. That's clean, which he's happy about. But that it's in this like weird, basically your throwing motion area, right? In that armpit shoulder area. But thankfully, again, he's not going to be out too long. So just a matter of, is he just missing 1, 2, 3 starts? That is going to be ever changing. That we'll find out once we find out another update on him a week from now, after he will be consistently throwing throughout that span. Again, I appreciate everyone that's chiming into the show. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe. It means a lot, guys. If you're new to the channel, we cover the Metropolitans basically every single day. We cover them in every single post-game show. We're the #1 post-game show here on YouTube. First post-game show of the year will be right around, I'd imagine, 7 p.m. Eastern time, whenever the conclusion of tonight's matchup between the Mets and the Marlins will be, with Mad Max on the bump. I have my Sure Day shirt on, if you guys can see right there a little bit lower. But I'm still excited for the season. Don't get me wrong. It just sucks that this is how we have to start the year. So again, like I said, this is not going to be a long show. I just want to give you guys the update on JV that he's starting the year on the shelf. But thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything long-term or of true significance. It looks like that this, I don't think it could have been much worse. If it was an oblique, then it definitely would have been worse. But thankfully, it looks like JV's going to be okay. Just a matter on if he's going to be out for 1, 2, 3 weeks. We'll find out on that front. But guys, I appreciate all you chiming in, watching live or on replay. Really, really do appreciate it. And I see a lot of people, complaining about the age, and this is why, don't make these kind of signings. And again, I'm not disagreeing. I said from the beginning, I want Jacob deGrom back more than anything, even with his injury prone. But he didn't give the Mets the final say to even offer a contract. Whether the Mets would have even went in that ballpark on the 5-year deal, I'm not sure, with, I think, a 6-year option, whatever it was. But this is the risk you take. We all knew this heading into the season with Verlander and Scherzer, and now it's right in front of our face as the season has yet to even officially begin, as we're an hour and a half away now from getting into our first matchup of the year against the Marlins and the season beginning as a whole. I mean, I wish you all very happy opening day. This is a day that a lot of us baseball fans, including myself, view as a holiday, right? It's a big deal, especially as myself who covers this Mets team for a living. But I mean, talking about a way to be a Debbie Downer to start the year. I hate that I'm talking about this. And I also apologize if my visuals drop for a couple minutes, guys, having connection issues for whatever reason. Don't know, but again, this is going to be a long show, so it's not really too much of a big deal. I appreciate all my members chiming in, guys. Thank you all so much for that. And we're going to be wrapping things up probably, I would say, like in the next, 5-10 minutes. Like I said, this is not going to be a long show. I'm not going to try to drag this up for a half hour to an hour. I see the internet is fixed. Yeah, no, of course I'm having internet issues. Shouldn't be having this issue for the post-game show, thankfully, because I'm using a different software for that. I just jumped into my normal StreamYard that I do for quick reaction streams like this, but we'll be better for later. What happened to the podcast? Podcast is still here, Milo. We did our podcast yesterday. Make sure to check it out. Myself, Anthony Recker, and Joe Serralo will be coming out after each series per usual, recapping the previewing previous series and previewing the upcoming series. We will eventually be having a secondary YouTube channel solely for the podcast, where we'll be streaming here on that channel too, to try to get, just expand the platform more. We have big announcements for the podcast coming soon too, so make sure you keep an eye out for it. Shout out my boy Hagen here already saying, yeah, indeed. Patty, how's it going? Appreciate you being in here. Hog being a pain in my ass per usual. Steven, great member. Sprite, great member. Appreciate you guys being in here. But yeah, I mean, there isn't much else to say. John, appreciate you being in here too. Great member. All my loyal viewers. Yeah, just the fact is we're starting the year with Justin Verlander, who's expected to be the Mets' number 3 starter to start the year, specifically so he can pitch the Mets home opener, is now on the shelf. And Tyler McGill, who I had the privilege of meeting in spring training, shout out to Julie, Mama McGill, good friend of mine, was able to get me hooked up with her son there in spring training. Now I'd imagine they'll probably be at the home opener, because McGill's pitching now. I'll have to talk to them. But yeah, so McGill will be pitching Saturday, and he is slotted to pitch the Mets home opener with the assumption that JV is ready. I don't really see a role where JV's pitching the home opener unless we find out results prior to them, but they said it's going to be a week until we find out the results of, further imaging and scanning done. So I'm going to go with the assumption that McGill will pitch at least the first 2 times in order of the rotation to start the year. So yeah, that's about it. So, guys, I appreciate you all to death. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This is your latest update that, yes, another injury for the Mets rotation. First, it was Jose Quintana. Oh, yeah, Bryce Montez de Aca, the flamethrower, who was going to start the year in AAA, but we're all still big fans of. He will now be out for the entirety of the season. Was getting some, surgery on bone spurs, and they found out that he needs to have his UCL repaired. So he had Tommy John surgery today or recently, so he's going to be out for the year, which is a bummer. Montez de Aca, really liked him as a sleeper for this Mets bullpen down the stretch. He's no longer an option for the 2023 season. So, yeah, I'm not loving the injuries, but part of the course of being a Mets fan and being a baseball fan, because just as I saw some Braves fans having the audacity to rag the Mets about this JV injury, their buddy Max Fried just went down with an injury today, left, I believe, in the 4th inning against the Nationals with what may have been a hamstring injury, exiting with the trainers. So, yeah, a lot of guys are getting hurt, and this is also not saying that this is the case for Justin Verlander, but it certainly will be the case with a lot of pitchers this year. The pitch clock, while it's going to benefit guys that like to work fast, like Max Scherzer, for example, is not going to benefit a lot of pitchers, and it's going to cause a spike in injuries for starting pitchers this year. I feel very confident in that. So I don't know if that went in hand at all with JV and his injury, but I do know that that will be more apparent that we see this year with pitchers trying to get acclimated to the new speed of the pitch clock. So just more food for thought, if you will. So again, guys, I appreciate you all watching. That'll do it for this one. Just a quick 10-minute update. JV is on the shelf to start the year. We will see how Tyler McGill does. Again, we didn't expect McGill or Peterson to start the year in the rotation. And just like that, now they are both in the rotation as your number 2 and number 3 to start the year. Why? Because Mets baseball, that is why. I'm excited to see how they do, no less, but hopefully JV is back in the next couple weeks. Appreciate you guys so much. I will see you later tonight for our first post-game show of the year. Big show, awesome graphics. Really excited to get into it, hopefully with a dub as well. But until then, have a great rest of your day, night, evening, folks. Love you all to death. And no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.